And it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Councillor Chessie Flack, who was elected in May this year to represent Rains Park for the Liberal Democrats on Merton Council. Chessie worked for the Liberal Democrats campaign department and campaigned locally in Merton on a variety of issues, including flooding and step-free access for your local train station, and was inspired to stand for election locally to make sure that the people of Rains Park had a strong local voice for their concerns. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I should probably tell everybody your interesting fact that we do have here is that you kayaked on several international whitewater courses. That is exciting, and I hope that we can link up. Please take me with you. I want to kayak with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us today.
Not at all. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So I guess the same question, what were you doing before you were elected as a councillor?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I work for the Liberal Democrats. I'm in their campaigns team. I left university in 2019, went straight into working for Lib Dems. I've worked for them ever since. So sort of professionally been very involved in the party, very involved in campaigning, took on a variety of different issues, variety of different roles. So I looked after the Young Liberals, so the youth wing of the party. I've worked in the membership team, and most recently, for the last 2 years, I've been in the campaigns department. Sort of outside of that, starting working in the party also was a similar time that I got involved locally. I was living over in Southwark, in London, got involved with the local councillors there. So we were in opposition there against Labour held council, chatted to the councillors, did a couple of sort of mobile surgeries with them. So went knocked on doors, spoke to people, found out what they needed help with, and just sort of got really excited about the idea that I could actually be doing something. I'm very fortunate. I've never had to sort of reach out to my councillors for anything, but actually being able to go, oh, I can really help these people who are struggling, who do need help, was really, really exciting. Moved to Merton 2 years ago and just sort of got so excited by the area. Absolutely fell in love with Rains Park, which is my ward and where I live, and just wanted to make sure that, got involved. Step-free access, we are the busiest, do a little plug, we are the busiest station on the South Western Railway line without step-free access, and just seeing people constantly either having to overshoot and come back, or get off early and really, really struggling, and thinking, there's got to be something I can do about this, there's got to be something I can do to help. So really sort of something like petitions, getting big campaigns on that, and just suddenly realised actually this is something I can make a difference with.
Amazing, thank you so much. And snap, I also lived in Southwark, so we have that in common. Thank you so much for outlining your journey, I guess, to elected office. And I guess the other question I'd like to ask, much like I asked before, was that the thing that got you really wanting to be I want to be the person in elected office that can make a difference about this thing, or was it something else that kind of made you make the switch into?
Yeah, so I've always been really interested in politics. I remember I grew up in Somerset. I remember watching my Lib Dem MP at the time, Jeremy Brown, do a speech when I was about 10 and thought, that looks like fun. I reckon I can do that. So very much always been really politically involved, really interested in politics with a small p, as much as so actually sort of helping people. And then sort of got into more partisan politics a little bit later. But yeah, I think what sort of made me sort of step over that from going, I'm just going to help locally, to standing, was the work that I've done in Rains Park, and realising, I can really make a difference here in an area that I really care about.
Brilliant, thank you. And would love to hear more about your typical week, so in your life. So how do you manage your employed work and your other responsibility in your council duties? And do you feel like you've been able to, the two questions in one, and the final question is, do you feel like you've been able to make a difference since being elected?
Yeah, so I work full-time. and I do sort of my council work as a part-time role within that. I think Olivia said it really well, like council work is what you make it. Like you can put almost no effort into it and it's going to be rubbish. You're not going to feel like you're doing anything for your council, for your local residents. But you can really throw yourself in, get involved in local events, get to know local people, and it's a lot of fun and it doesn't feel like work. I think that's really important. Like I was at a policing ward meeting last night, finished at gone 10, and I was like, oh, I don't really feel like I've worked into the evening. It was so interesting. It was something I really cared about. I do my best to try and limit myself. So I am my role, so I'm the children and young person spokesperson, sorry, for the opposition. So while I don't hold a formal cabinet role or official sort of shadow role, we don't really structure like that. I do sort of have an extra level of responsibility within the Liberal Democrat group. But I do try to limit myself where possible to only sort of spend an hour or so a day, like maximum, on just sort of doing emails, because they come in constantly, constantly dealing with things. Got them to alerts if anything urgent happens, but trying to make sure that actually having a bit of a balance is really, really important. So obviously if I need to reply to something at 9 o'clock at night, I can, and I do, but trying to have that limit. Actually, I'm not going to spend 9 hours a day working my full-time job and then 8 hours in the evening every single day, because it's just it's not sustainable. Obviously you do additional meetings. So last night, for example, I was at the police meeting. We've got I also sit on certain panels, so I go and visit schools and things. I'm very, very fortunate because I work for the Liberal Democrats. If I say I need to do something for council, as a general rule, they'll go flex your hours around it because I'm a Liberal Democrat councillor. Yeah, I think it's really important that you kind of have that limitation of, I'm going to work really hard and do all these things, going to make sure I can take a break, so you don't get overwhelmed with all the work that can come in. So yeah, I think that's, obviously it varies week on week. It's very difficult to say this is exactly what I do every week because you have different meetings, different issues come in, and it does vary. Yeah, that's my standard week.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Again, so many points and threads. I wish we had so much time because I'd love to pull on so many things that you said, but like, you know, and hard relate, like with regards to managing your workload externally from council and, you know, your working life, because that's definitely a lesson that I have learned this year, is that you have to be realistic about how much time you have to commit to things. And sometimes that means making really difficult decisions. As a self-employed freelancer doing lots of different things, I had to realize that with someone who I'm a shadow cabinet member, so in opposition in my council for children's services and education. So that's added responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility, great responsibility. I love the portfolio, but it's like you have to be realistic about your time. And so you have to just make decisions about, okay, so I can't do a 35 or 45 hour working week outside of council because it means I have no time to do any council work. So having to juggle and make sure that you are protecting your well-being, but also being realistic about the time that you can spend outside of council responsibilities because you are an elected member. But yeah, thank you so much.